6 January 2025, 11:30 a.m. Everything was normal. Business meetings were going on in the offices. People were busy with their work. Some families were playing with the children in the park. And somewhere the filmmakers were busy shooting their projects. In fitness classes, people were exercising in sweat. Everything was quiet. But no one knew that in a few moments this peace was going to turn into fear and destruction. Once again, a fire broke out in the forest of Los Angeles. Within minutes, the sirens of the fire truck started echoing in the air. The smoke began to rise towards the sky, and as soon as the fire spread to different parts of the city, satellite views showed that the fire first erupted in the mountains of Palisades. But surprisingly, within a few hours, it reached remote areas such as Easton, Clay, Hughes, Sepulveda, Laguna, Boulder, and Gibble. At that time, winds were blowing at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour, which was facing inland towards the sea. But the question arises, when the wind was facing the sea, how did this fire, which broke out on the mountains of Palisades, spread so rapidly to areas 20 to 30 kilometers away in the opposite direction? Was it just a natural disaster, or was there some other truth behind it? That's the secret you need to know. Welcome back to Time Up TV videos. The fire has destroyed a total of 48,800 acres, or 197 square kilometers. More than 16,000 buildings and homes have been destroyed, leaving more than 180,000 people homeless. This is the most dangerous fire in the history of Los Angeles when we are making a video for you. Yet this fire has not been completely extinguished. Despite all possible efforts to douse the fire, all of them have failed to douse the fire. Water bombers are drinking 45,000 liters of water at a time, due to which efforts are being made to control the fire, as well as special chemicals are being thrown, which are proving to be just a few drops in front of this fire. All efforts seem to be going in front of nature. California is already facing a shortage of water, which is causing difficulties to firefighters. Firefighters and their equipment were also divided due to the spread in 8 different areas, and when winds of 70 to 100 kilometers per hour were blowing above it, the fire spread to completely different areas, which helped to ignite the fire further. Before we learn the real causes of the Los Angeles wildfire outbreak, let's look at how many times California has faced forest fires before. If we look at the data of the last 25 years, California is the hotspot of wildfires. In 2003, 273,246 acres of land were burned by a fire in Cedar in San Diego County. The fire, which started on October 25th, died on November 4th, 2003. The Tubbs Fire in 2017 burned 36,807 acres of land and ended the same month in October. In 2017, the Santa Barbara Fire in Thomas burned 281,193 acres. The fire started in December and ended in January. In July 2021, fires in Bottle, Lassen, Plumas, Shasta, and Tehama in Dixie destroyed 963,309 acres of land, as well as at the end of July. In November 2018, the Camp Fire burned 153,336 acres and ended 17 days later on November 25th. Similarly, in 2021, 221,135 acres of land were burned in a fire attack on the Alpine in Caldor, as well as El Dorado and Amador, and this fire also started in the month of August. If we look at the history of wildfires, there is a surprising fact. These fires mostly flare up in winter. In particular, the recent Los Angeles wildfires also erupted during severe winters. The question is, why do most wildfires in California occur in winter? The answer lies in the unique seasonal changes of the Santa Ana winds. Yes, Santa Ana. Winds are warm and dry winds that blow during autumn and winter. especially in Southern California and Baja California. On the ground, these winds originate from the east of California, where most of the deserts are located, including the famous Mojave Desert and the Great Basin Desert. The intense heat of the sun turns these deserts into hot land, which increases the air pressure here, while the air towards the sea is relatively cold and low pressure. We have all read in scientific principles that air travels from high pressure to low pressure, and the more pressure there is a difference, the faster the wind will blow. The same principle applies to Santa Ana winds. These winds blow from southeastern California and move towards the sea at high speed, further drying up everything along the way. As a result, trees and shrubs completely dry up, enough to turn any spark into terrifying flames. These winds not only increase the dryness, but also further ignite the fire. If a fire breaks out by mistake, these strong winds increase its intensity manifold. The burning embers scatter far and wide, and it becomes almost impossible to control the wildfires. Normally, wildfires spread in the direction in which the wind is blowing, but in the recent Los Angeles incident, the case was reversed. The fire was first seen on the seashore near Palisades, but surprisingly, it spread more rapidly inland areas. To understand this unexpected change, we need to look at the climate impact of the mountain wave rotor. When strong winds hit a mountain, a specific vortex is created, called the leeward side. In this vortex, the air rotates and sometimes changes direction. In the case of Los Angeles, these mountain waves cause the fire to push into the interior, making it more difficult to control. Another dangerous climate change is the firestorm, which forms during extreme wildfires. It sounds like normal storms, but the difference is that it involves fire and hot air. Due to extreme heat, the air rises rapidly, as a result of which, more air is drawn from below and goes into a powerful rotational motion. What we call a fire tornado, which creates small fire tornadoes. Small fires form, which results in a devastating firestorm, which burns everything around and turns it into ashes and sets its own direction, which is difficult to estimate. Due to climate change, the intensity and number of forest fires is expected to increase. America's advanced technology, especially artificial intelligence, is now helping predict the spread of fire. Firefighters are given information about the possible route of the fire so that they can take preemptive measures, such as spraying chemicals in specific areas to prevent further spread of the fire. But in the case of Los Angeles, this strategy is not proving to be very effective because strong winds are constantly pushing the fire in new directions. If you look at history, the first major record of wildfires in America was found near Michigan in 1871, when 1.2 million acres of land were burned to ashes and more than 2,500 lives were lost. Since then, wildfires remind us that it is almost impossible to completely control natural disasters. But if we try to live our lives by better understanding the laws of nature, we may be able to mitigate the effects of these devastating wildfires. Thank you very much for sharing, subscribing, and commenting on the video. See you in the next video.